Hey there, listeners. This is Zach. Hope everyone's having a great week. Hope you're enjoying those shortcasts, and I hope that any of you up here in the Northern Hemisphere are having a great start to your summer break. Certainly well earned. We've got another feed drop for you this week. This time, we're going to be bringing you an episode from the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast with our friend Jorge Valenzuela. This is an episode called From Compton to the World, Building STEM Futures Through Project-Based Learning. I, as you probably know from hearing me on this podcast, am all about project-based learning, and I think this is a fantastic episode. Hopefully you enjoy it as much as I did. Hopefully you'll go and check out the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast. You'll find the link to it in the show notes. And I hope you enjoy. Have a great rest of your week.
A lot of people think STEM education is just about coding and robotics, but your students are designing solutions for food insecurity, homelessness, and climate change. What's the secret to making STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, real for young people? It
goes back to that, having them take ownership of their learning, creating a student-centered environment. Innovation requires experimentation, allowing students to fail, let them learn from the mistakes. That has really helped me as much, bringing those issues, and when they learn how they affect them personally, they definitely take ownership.
You are now listening to the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast with your host, Jorge Valenzuela.
This is education coach Jorge Valenzuela. Welcome to the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast, where I provide all educators, whether instructional leaders or teachers, tips on how to be their best, both personally and professionally. Now let's get into it. We're here today with one of the best teachers I've ever met, my friend Jose González. Jose is a 21st century learning specialist at Davis Middle School in Compton, California. How are you, brother?
Thank you. Thank you so much, brother. Really doing good. And I really appreciate the opportunity to share the stories of my students.
For the audience, I met Jose back in 2018. We go back. Back then, I used to visit Bunkie Middle School in Compton, USD every other month. I would facilitate PBL workshops for teachers across the entire district. That's where I met Jose. Now, before moving forward, I need to give a big shout out to Michelle Dawson. One of the best experiences in my career was working with Michelle on project-based learning, PBL. Michelle, if you're listening, how are you? Let's get in contact. Jose, you're doing amazing work. Thank you for being here, my guy.
No, thank you. And I wanted to just say, Michelle, I work half day for Michelle. I do for the ed tech department and also for my school. And they were the ed tech department was recognized nationally. Michelle's work is incredible. I've learned so much from her. Shout out as well.
Jose, your students are changing the world. Mars, habitats, aquaponics, sustainability projects, even winning global competitions. How did you get middle schoolers to think this big?
We're talking about project-based learning. That's the secret. I think it's such a transformational style of learning, and also the opportunity to give students voice and a choice in the learning. And that engages them. I think when students are given the opportunity to have a voice and a choice in their learning, they become more engaged. When they're working on issues that affect them and their community, that's why the kids come on Saturdays. That's why they show up at 5 o'clock in the morning. They're taking personal ownership of their learning.
Research that I show educators in a lot of my presentations when I'm making a case for project-based learning or just for infusing the interests and passions of students into projects, I always tell them the research shows the young people want learning that is relevant to things they care about, aligned to their current goals and future aspirations, and they want some choice in what and how they learn. When educators think about it that way, they realize, well, adults do too. So then why wouldn't kids?
Exactly. I'll give you a perfect example. With my students, every year I introduce them to the 3 pillars of sustainability, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So I took them on a little mini field trip with iPads, and we went around the school after they learned about sustainability, taking pictures with their iPads, and we came back to the classroom discussing the things they saw. They had walked these neighborhoods, almost saw their lives. They were beginning to say, we have a lot of check cashing places in our neighborhood. We have a lot of fast food joints. Why are there cracks in our neighborhood? Why are there overhead lines? Things they had never seen before. Now they became engaged, and it changed their way of every time they walked in the neighborhood now. And I think that's transformational education.
Yeah, agreed. A lot of people think STEM education is just about coding and robotics, but your students are designing solutions for food insecurity, homelessness, and climate change. What's the secret to making STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, real for young people?
It goes back to that, having them take ownership of their learning, creating a student-centered environment. Innovation requires experimentation, allowing students to fail, let them learn from the mistakes. That has really helped me as much, bringing those issues, and when they learn how they affect them personally, they definitely take ownership. The other thing is giving them opportunities for hands-on experiences where they get a chance to collaborate with their peers. I'm more like a project facilitator now. It's a traditional model where teachers are standing in front of the classroom and lecturing. In project-based learning, the whole role is transformed. Now I'm just walking around, making sure they're learning about deadlines, they're learning about meeting guidelines. Instead of indoctrination that we hear a lot about these days with students, they're presenting with the facts, and then they have to find their own solutions. And that involves research on their own.
Well, I do want to say one thing. Everyone out there watching and listening, Jose is being too modest. If you look at the videos of his children, they're actually explaining academic content and aligning it to issues and problems in their own community. That needs a lot of coaching. Yes, you are the facilitator, you are on the side, but let's keep it real. You're also having them speak in a way that requires intellectual challenge and accomplishment. That means that they're solving problems using systematic approaches like the design process, like project-based learning, and then they're articulating in ways regular people can understand.
That's the other aspect as well. They're not just learning about STEM. For me, the technological tools, they're just tools for them to reach their common goals. They're learning to articulate, and there's a lot of conversation in the classroom, a lot of them presenting what they found in their research, bringing back their findings, and then also their solutions.
If you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify or iTunes, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the like button, and share this episode with your family, friends, and colleagues who are interested in self-improvement through lifelong learning. And now for a word from one of our sponsors.
Education is changing. Classrooms look different, and the future demands that our students be equipped for whatever comes their way. Educators play a huge role in helping prepare students for their futures. Defined Learning is a K-12 standards-aligned PBL solution that provides high-quality cross-curricular performance tasks across content areas such as ELA, math, science, social studies, computer science, and more. The hands-on projects are based on real-world situations and allow students to apply their learning. Education is changing. Give students the tools and experiences to recognize their futures and make an incredible impact on the world. Defined, the authority on applied learning.
We had the pleasure of listening to George this morning on project-based learning, and he shared his story that his aunt encouraged him to go into education. And she was absolutely right. He is so talented at sharing information in a way that is easy to digest and is inspiring to go back and actually implement and make change.
So my takeaway is that Mr. Valenzuela was very inspiring. He was very motivational and helped me to think about a new way of getting my teachers excited.
When I set out to do a workshop, my key deliverable is energy. And this momentum is used to make connections, inspire, educate, and ultimately transform the audience so that they're compelled to take that same energy back to their schools and communities. And although we have fun, we tackle the hard topics of today, like educational policy, pedagogy for improving curriculum and instruction, and empowering today's students by connecting our work to the needs of the workforce. So please consider Lifelong Learning Defined for your next keynote, workshop, or conference, and overall instructional and educational coaching needs. My name is George, and I hope to connect with you soon.
We would love to have him come and do some work with us and help us be a little more successful and help our students to be more successful.
move around a lot of schools, and we're seeing a huge disconnect. A lot of teachers that have come from non-traditional pathways, especially in the past few years. And so just interactions, expectations is really the first step. All of my teachers, raise your right hand, and please repeat after me. I promise that I will speak positivity into my students. All of my administrators, all my directors, all my principals, all my coordinators, raise your hands, please, your right hand, and repeat after me. I promise that I will speak positivity into my faculty and staff. Thank you. Jose, you've built a culture of innovation at Davis Middle School, no doubt. Your students aren't just learning. They're presenting at international conferences like ISTE, winning awards and solving real-world problems like you just said. How did you make young people believe that they can do these things?
By creating an environment they feel empowered, that they too have opinions that are worthwhile, that just because they're young, that their voices don't count. What is that biblical quote about out of the mouth of babes? Especially when it comes to climate change, because that's been my passion. Us old people, when I tell my kids, us old people did not really do a good job of taking care of the environment. And here they are surprising me with solutions. They've come out with an aquaponics ship or a regenerative ocean project. And they never cease to surprise me with their solutions.
Let's talk a little more about project-based learning. Some educators worry it takes too much time or it's not rigorous enough. What do you say to teachers who are on the fence about using PBL in their classrooms?
I think the research also shows that when students are given these opportunities to look for their own solutions, it creates critical thinking skills and it prepares them for other subject matter and even for the standardized tests as well. They're working collaboratively. Yeah. They're motivated. If students are motivated, engaged, they want to come to school. They want to learn more.
Edutopia has done extensive research over the years. The evidence is there. PBL works with children across the board, marginalized children. It helps with reading, writing. It helps with science, social studies. It builds motivation, engagement. Project-based learning is truly the instructional approach of not just the 21st century, any century.
I think above and beyond, I invite a lot of experts to the classroom. So in areas that I don't have the knowledge, I bring them in to give the students the information they need in order to enhance their research, and then they can go on and find those solutions for themselves.
Jose, you were just recognized as an INFI Makers Award winner, and I know you're a champion for making computer science and STEM education more accessible for everyone in Davis Middle School and Compton USD. What's one thing schools could do yesterday, tomorrow, to make STEM more engaging and inclusive for all?
I think, again, to provide those opportunities for project-based learning, for allowing teachers to collaborate with each other, for creating student-centered classrooms where students are able to have the opportunity to have a choice on how they're going to learn things, to let them veer off and research on issues that concern them. Personalized learning, student-centered classrooms, steering away from that traditional model that we've had that hasn't been working.
That hasn't been working. Jose, as you mentioned, you've worked with students on everything from 3D printing to artificial intelligence to regenerative ocean farms. What's one project that blew even you away with what your kids accomplished?
I can just show you really quick.
All right, let's see, man.
This is their aquaponics ship. We have an aquaponics system in our room. Here's where I see proof of how project-based learning works for students to advance their ideas. We have an actual aquaponics system in our room, and last year the kids made an aquaponics truck. This year they expanded the issue even more, and they created a ship that would grow food around the world and also have a fish farm in the rear section of the ship where they can grow endangered species. Also, the ship was created from a recycled container ship that they converted to electricity. So all these ideas where they're learning about different things, I was just so impressed with it. It was incredible what they came up with.
I have to say, Jose, you are definitely the best STEM teacher I've seen using project-based learning. And as you know, I have a new professional development partner, Corwin Press, and we are developing Project-Based Learning Plus workshops, and we're going to be adding consultants in the future. And man, we want to snatch you up. When we're ready, you are definitely at the top of the list, brother. You're doing amazing work. I have to give you your flowers.
Oh, well, thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate especially the stories from my inner city kids, my marginalized groups, the kids who don't really get a chance to have their faces reflected in the STEM fields. And I am so happy that they are having the opportunity and getting their voices heard. And thank you.
I want to give you a little bit of history. When I started at Richmond City Public Schools back in 2007 at central office, around that time is when STEM became an acronym. President Obama put into the national career clusters. It became one of the 16. I know California uses something different. We wrote a grant for a governor's STEM academy. I was responsible for STEM in my district. We got Project Lead the Way. We got Code.org. We did all these different things from 2007 all the way into 2016. But I never really saw it grow and actualize itself the way I have with your students. I remember when I left my district to do what I'm doing now, I had a dream. And in my dream, I was on a university campus. And I'm inner city too, by the way. I'm an inner city kid. And I saw inner city children that were walking with all their STEM projects. They weren't my students, but I somehow knew that it was all connected to what we were learning in Richmond, what we were putting out with PBL. When I see this, it makes me realize there's other people out there like yourself that are making a difference, are doing a lot of good in the world. I think people need to see that.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Jorge, and the work that you've done. I learned so much from you when you were at Bunch training us. I have had just the pleasure and honor. I'm working right now with a teacher from Laos, from Brazil, and from Canada. We're coming out with a book with our students about their sustainable projects. Mm-hmm. I am always open to collaborate with other teachers, and I know there's many voices out there that are doing the same.
Everyone out there, he's very kind to me, but this man is great on his own. Okay. I'm going on the record as saying this man is great by himself. He's passionate. He's knowledgeable. He knows what he's doing. The proof is in the pudding. If you ever want to impress superintendents, school boards, parents, children need to talk like teachers. And this man has examples that no one else has that I've seen for our children.
Thank you. Thank you so much, brother, for the kind words.
And now for a word from one of our sponsors. If you're a STEM and PBL teacher like me, you're always on the lookout for new project ideas and resources. You know George does PBL, and I'm telling you, look no further than SmartLab. SmartLab really has a fresh take on STEM and PBL. I'm proud to be a partner, and they sponsor the podcast. But just don't take my word for it. Check out what other educators are saying about SmartLab.
When students enter into SmartLab, they are allowed to think outside of traditional norms.
It gives them a lot of agency. They feel empowered and important. I think that's one of the biggest benefits of the SmartLab environment and the way the project process is set up.
SmartLab becomes this place where they can do those things and have the time and space to communicate better and even deal with social emotional stuff. They're having a bad day. A SmartLab's a place where we can change the pace of what they're learning to match their mental needs for the day. And that comes back tenfold later on when they want to be there and they want to learn and they want to do stuff and they feel safe and they feel like they can get the things they need.
That's one of the big benefits of being in more of a collaborative environment is it makes you have to work. It makes you have to be accountable.
Please look in this episode's show notes for a link to connect with SmartLab. We always hear about the future of education, but you're actually building it, brother. If we fast forward 10 years, what's the biggest shift you hope to see in STEM education and PBL classrooms?
Again, continue these collaborations. When my kids had a chance to speak with the kids from Brazil, speak to kids from New Zealand, from Canada, I think the shift from the standardized testing that really have kept our kids back. Encouraging more of those hands-on training, giving students the opportunity, not only of us bringing the world into the classroom, but bringing the students onto the world, giving them opportunities of what they're working in the classroom, let them go outside and provide those field trips, those hands-on opportunity outside the classroom. And those collaborations with corporations as well. I think I've been a benefactor. You see this wonderful lab that we have. Verizon educational grants have been incredible for our school. The training, this has been brought not by just me. I stand shoulder to shoulders with all those who have trained me, teachers who have helped me, you. So I stand shoulders with everyone. This is why I've had these successes.
Your humility speaks volumes. I believe it's the reason why your children are where they are. All right, Jose, let's dream big, brother. If funding, time, and resources weren't an issue, what's one project or initiative that you would launch tomorrow for your students?
I had a school from Brazil, incredible teacher, Professor Henrique Tem from the Colegio Militar de Manaus, Brazil. I had no clue what evapotranspiration toilet was. So his kids taught my kids about it. And Brazil, they have droughts. They have a drought season. It's been actually accelerated by climate change. So they build these toilets that actually have low water, and they can create them in these areas that are remote. The biomass that's used from those toilets, they help raise crops. Well, my kids adapted the toilet to use to plant seedlings and deal with the issues of fires, reforestation in the U.S. I would love an opportunity, if I had it, today, is to take my kids to Brazil, have a chance to meet those kids that taught us and the teacher in person. It's about teachers globally exchanging ideas, and that's what happened with mine. His kids, we were enriched. It's been an incredible experience. And just one thing I also want to say, as a Cuban American and as a Caribbean like you, Jose Marti has always been my hero. And one of the things he always said, that talent was a gift to us, and anyone who used it just for his selfishness, just for his own gain, was selfish. So teachers using talent, students using their talent to make a change in the world, like you are yourself with what you're doing. I think
Trying, brother. Trying. You know something? When you do meaningful work, you need a positive mindset, because nothing is ever easy. And we have to show up every day at our best. And there's times that we don't feel at our best, or we're dealing with people that are trying, testing us, pushing our buttons. If you don't have a way to get yourself back in a positive state, then you're not going to be at your best in order to do this type of work. When you're focused and you're producing really great things, for me, I don't know about you or anybody else, but for me, I can't say I'm happy. I'm content. I feel blessed. But how can I be happy knowing that kids like us, the people like us, and not just us, I travel, I get to see poverty in a very big way. And it hits all of the races, all of the people. How can we be truly happy knowing that all kids don't have the same opportunities?
Amen.
And that's the why for my work. How can we develop the type of educators young people need? That's the focus. When I say educators, I'm talking about the leader too. How can the leader lead in a way that's going to empower teachers? And how can teachers teach in a way that's going to empower young people?
I so much agree. And like you, those days when I feel down and everything, there's nothing like the hope the kids bring you, and the happiness, and to see them coming up with ideas. You cannot be depressed when you see kids working together and creating ideas for today and for tomorrow. Just that explosion of optimism that they bring is refreshing.
Jose, let's put this in the universe. How can people contact you so you can come speak at their school, conference, or event?
My email, jngonzalez with the Z at the end, at compton.k12.us. Please reach out to me. I am always open to working on new ideas and learning. I am constantly learning from all these people that I meet. And like I'm with you, I remember so much I've learned with you, Jorge.
That's it for this episode. Until next time, this is the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast. Whether you're a teacher or administrator, you lead by walking alongside your students and your staff. You teach them what to do. You model for them. Let's say you're in a situation where you don't know what to do, and you bring in a coach or a resource. You learn alongside them. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Now, the second thing is this. Give your people feedback, not pushback. Whoever you push back on, whether physically or verbally, they're going to do it right back immediately. And if they're intimidated by our position, our status, they're going to do it behind our backs and ruin our programs. My guy. I want to leave you on this note. Trajectories can be changed. When I was in 10th grade, here's a snapshot. of who I was in 10th grade. There's a rapper named Rakim. I'm not sure if you guys know about Rakim, but he used to say, it's not where you're from, it's where you at. And I played that on my headphones at 16 years old every day until I believed it. And I'm showing you this because I'm seeing versions of this throughout American schools. This is your reality of what you have to face. If I can do it, any kid can do it, but they have to work hard. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast with Jorge Valenzuela.